Are you tired of your vacation photos being ruined by strangers in public places? Are you sick of spending thousands of dollars paying people to get out of your way so you can take your photo? Well, I've got a solution for you. Just pay me and I'll Photoshop them out for you. No, okay. I'll teach you how to Photoshop people out of your vacation pictures so that way you can have a nice clean slate. So here's a before and after of an image that I posted recently, but a lot of people started asking me specific questions about how I did it, so I decided I would just kind of go back through and give a quick walkthrough of some of the techniques that I used. All right, so the first technique is very, very simple, and it works really well if you have an open space with one object in the middle of it. In this case, we've got this guy here in this really baggy suit with a phone. What you want to do is take your lasso selection tool, and if you're in the UK and you say lasso, don't come at me. I'm in America. Just draw around this guy here and press Shift Delete and make sure that this menu here says content aware. And when you click OK, he should just disappear. Yeah, it's really that simple. Now you can see it's not perfect. There's like a couple of weird little spaces here that got a little bit blurry. And so what I usually do is circle those areas and do content aware again, just to try to clean it up and make it a little bit more natural. And now I'm going to use my stamp tool. So the stamp clone tool is actually one of the first tools that people used to take items out of photos or clean up, people's like skin, blemishes, things like that. And even though there's more advanced tools now, the clone stamp is still really, really good. So basically just select your clone stamp and you'll get like a brush here. And what you want to do is hold Option, or I believe it's Alt on a PC, and you're going to click somewhere where you select part of the photo that you want to use as your paint source. So you can see I'm selecting over here where there's just a lot of this floor. I'm going to move back over here and start to paint with that. And you can see that I can actually use this to kind of cover up some of these weird little blurry spots. And you can pick any part of the photo that you want to paint these in. So this was a huge part of the tool set that I used to take all of these people out. And you can see in my version over here that there are some weird flaws, but if you're not looking for them, they're kind of hard to find. So it really works fine and like good enough with the content aware and just a little bit of touch up with the stamp tool. Taking those people out right there is very, very fast and easy. That was the easiest part of this whole process. This one's a little bit trickier because these two people are touching and she is kind of going over this part of the floor. But I am going to try to select him, and you can see it doesn't understand like the data, what part is the floor, what part is like another person or pattern or whatever. So it makes it a little bit difficult. So if you circle like half of a person, it doesn't really do it perfectly, but it does kind of get us a little bit more of a cleaner slate here to work with. So you can see all this stuff here is pretty complicated versus what I was working with over here with just like people and objects on top of this floor. There's a couple of people over here on the stairs. So I really just tried to use my content aware on them first. But before I do my content aware here, I'm going to select my lasso again, and I'm going to make sure that my feather is down to 1 or 2 pixels. And I'm going to try to select as close as I can around them. Hit that content aware, and yeah, you can see there's still some problems here. It's not the best, but I'm actually going to use a technique that I learned while I was doing this. I realized that an easy way to get around some of this stuff where there's this wall with these patterns and things like that is actually just copying and pasting parts of the image and moving them around so that I can fill back in with those actual textures there. Then I can take my eraser tool or something with like a little bit of a feathered brush and delete around these things to bring back in some parts like this handrail. And so I'm actually going to do the same thing. I'm going to select my background here, and I'm going to select this handrail, copy and paste it, and use that to keep it going in this area here. So now I'm just going to use my eraser tool to erase around it a little bit. And now you can see that it's got much more of this texture continuing here. And let's just erase some more of that. And it does look a little bit weird because of the stair texture, but what I'm going to do, actually, yeah, let's just do it like this. So this is also another trick I learned. So on my original image here, I actually, after I photoshopped the person out of this left side, at the end of it, I realized that I could just copy this whole little archway and just mirror it and flip it over here to the other side. The only thing that I did was erase the area so that you could see this sign facing the right direction. I wish I would have thought of that before I tried taking out all of the people from the other side. I mean, look how many more people there are. I actually went through and took most of them out, and I wish I didn't do that. So I'm going to try something similar over here. I'm going to make sure I'm on my background layer and then grab as much of this staircase as possible, copy and paste it over here to the other side, go to edit, transform, and flip horizontal. And now I have this entire thing. So I don't even think I needed to do what I did. I hope you were not following along. So now I'm going to set the transparency on my top layer to like 80% so I can see through it. Line up these stairs. That's insane. Like, it's almost perfectly aligned. That means my image was incredibly symmetrical and I got lucky, actually. So let's go ahead and throw a mask on this one this time and use a feathered brush. Even erasing like parts of this, the background is coming through and it just looks exactly the same. So yeah, this was that was a super good way to take care of this. All right, so now there's this dude here, and I am going to use the stamp clone tool, or the clone stamp. I'm going to select this part, and I'm just going to move over as straight as I can and just paint right over his feet. And then if I shrink my brush a little bit, I can kind of just continue to do this until they are gone. I also went ahead and on the original one, I grabbed this color here with the clone stamp tool and just painted in a little bit more of that like shadow part. But now that I have this part of this image done, I can just copy and flip that over to the other side. But I think before I do that, I need to go ahead and get rid of this person's head, which I'm going to try with content aware. And it's okay, but not perfect. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to use my eyedropper to select this color. And I'm just going to roughly paint in that color and just hope that, you know, it blends in when you're zoomed out enough that you can't really tell. That looks really great. And I do think before I flip this over, I am going to try to get this person out of here. And I am going to try to do that with content aware. Oh, I need to flatten my image, then do it. That is quite okay. Let's do a little bit more of that rough painting here. And then since this carries on, I'm going to try to copy it. There we go. Missing person, but not like a crime. Okay, so now I've flattened my image again. I'm going to go ahead and select a nice big chunk of this wall here, copy and paste it, move it over, and then go back to edit, transform, flip horizontal, and now make it about 60% transparency so I can see what I'm doing, and just move this into a place where it will cover up all of these people inconspicuously. I mean, that looks so good already. Like, obviously there's some things with it, but man, it's just so good. I'm going to put a mask on it. Okay, outside of this random person, like weird head thing that's happening, this looks awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten that again. And I'm going to use my selection tool to grab this part of the floor, copy and paste it, make it about 80% so I can see through it, and drag it into a position that covers things up here, put a mask on it, and just do some painting out. All right, got the wire added back in. It looks pretty good. I may need to use the burn tool to make the darkness blend back together. But overall, I think that looks great. I'm going to go ahead and flatten those two pieces and move on to the next thing. This man and this child. I had a lot of fun photoshopping these people out the first time for some reason. I don't know why. It just makes me laugh to like remove a little baby or something. I don't know, but I'm going to copy and paste this part of the floor, move it up here. And then because of the perspective, I'm going to have to, you know, kind of move and adjust this one with the transform tool just to kind of line these things back up. So now most of that floor is lined up. You see the color doesn't match very well. So I'm going to put a mask on here. I'm going to use my brush tool again, my feathered brush tool, to kind of blend. Since these colors don't really match perfectly, I think what I'm going to do is use the clone stamp tool to grab like this part of it and then just paint that in here and try to subtly blend those two colors together, which isn't working very well. So let's just go with the true paintbrush. But I'm going to do this on another layer with a very small brush so that I can get as much of like a fade as possible. Blend those two pieces together. Not great, but I'm going to now go to blur, Gaussian blur, bump that up a little bit, and you can see that they start to blend together a little bit more naturally. Now I'm going to go back up to my filters and add noise and just add some texture into that so that you can see it's a little bit more natural than those like smooth brushes that I used. Then go back to Gaussian blur again and maybe do it a little bit lighter so that you still get some of that texture and it comes through and it looks really good. Then you can clean up any weird edges with the eraser brush or tool and paint in any hard straight lines that you need to blend this little black line here. And when you flatten it and zoom back out, you can't tell the difference at all. But I do still need to get rid of this guy, so I'm going to try to do a content aware delete, and it's not bad, but it's not great. And not bad. It only looks bad because I know what was there. So now I flatten that. I'm going to copy a big chunk of this here, copy and paste, move it over, image, transform, flip horizontal, and then just line this up the best that I can. Cool, that looks a little bit more natural, and I really, really do believe that if you're not watching me do this, it becomes so much more believable when you just glance over and see it. And this is, you know, got a little bit of problems here, so let's go ahead and go back in with our brush tool and just kind of blend these details together. I hope that's not a person there. Let's do all of these little parts here. I kind of feel like Bob Ross when I do these brush strokes. Cool, that looks really great. I mean, it's super, super believable the way that it is right now. Now there's just these weird people here. Cool, the wire's back. Flatten that. Now all I have to do is mess with these people here. This has been so much faster than the first time I did this. And it's not only because I've already worked on this photo once, but because I learned a lot of things and I started using that mirroring technique, and that's been super great. But if you're working on a photo that isn't as symmetrical, it's still a technique that you can try to use. Like you saw whenever I pulled a piece of this floor and just kind of moved it and messed with the perspective. You can do that creatively, you know, copy some stairs and move them over, whatever you need to do. Like if you need to take a person off of the top of the stairs and you have the bottom of the stairs, you can pull that image and put it up there, and it's going to give you the same thing even without being symmetrical. What I did the first time, I really cheated because I don't know what this bench area looks like. So I just made the bench black. Just paint out these people's feet. Selected that black color and just straight up just painted everything out here. And just like that, the people ruining my photo are gone. Man, that was so much faster. So I'm really glad that I discovered that mirroring technique and how well it would work for this photo. But yeah, just take those techniques, figure out how you can do it. And honestly, I would love to see what you guys do with this to take random objects and people out of your photos. So if you use this technique at all to help fix your photos, shoot me a DM on Instagram and show me what you did. And if you want to see my speed run from the first time I did this, watch this video. All right, guys, thanks so much for checking out my videos. And like always, we'll catch you on the next one.